Welcome to After the Buzzer Sports Podcast, the show that's all about real sports and real issues. We've got a great show in store for you today. So go on Facebook, go on YouTube, tell your friends, tell your family to tune in because it's time for Uncensored Sports. And we want to hear from you. So make sure you make comments on both of those platforms. Let's go.
What's up, everybody? Happy Monday. Welcome again to After the Buzzer Sports Podcast. We got a familiar face back in the house tonight. He's been missing in action a little bit. We thought he might not show up because yesterday wasn't the best day for him, but we got Mr. Lee Jones back in the building, so we happy to see him. As always, Raquel M.R. Thomas, you know how she always does. I'm your man, Marvin Orange, After the Buzzer Sports Podcast. We got some interesting topics today we want to hit on. So let's kind of go through them real quick, see what you guys think, and we're going to dive right into them. Naomi Osaka, she's now has 3 Grand Slam titles at the age of 22. Is she the future of tennis? And what are your thoughts about her being so outspoken about social justice issues and using her platform so effectively? We got to get into the NFL opening weekend. We want to get your thoughts on Sunday's game, surprises, disappointments. What do you guys think about no fans? Is it weird to watch it that way? I thought it was a little bit weird, but let's get your thoughts about the NFL season and how it opened up. Let's also discuss the debut of Tampa Bay and the Dallas Cowboys. We got to bring up the Cowboys, America's team. You know, both of them took an L yesterday. Considering they attracted so much attention during the offseason, is this all hype? Is it a sign of things to come? Are we overreacting? Are we being too reactionary about what we're seeing? Let's get your thoughts about that as well. Let's also preview Game 7 of the Clips and Nuggets. I think nobody expected us to see a Game 7 in this series, but we are here. So let's get your thoughts on what we may see. Also, let's preview the Heat and Celtics. Their Game 1 is coming up, I think, tomorrow. Let's see what you guys think of how that series will unfold. Mark D'Antoni's out as head coach of Houston. What do you guys think about that? Was it time? Was it long overdue? Who do you think the Rockets should look to as their next head coach? And do you think the small ball should be blown up in Houston? Is it time for a change in Houston and forget about the metrics and all the things that they do with Daryl Morey? Is it time to blow it up? And Clemson football, they revealed social justice helmet stickers over the weekend of their first game at Wake Forest. They seem to be getting a lot of pushback from the Clemson community. A lot of fans seem to be displeased about what they're doing. What do you guys think about that? What do you think about the helmet stickers? Do you think Dabo was said enough in response to his disastrous response in the beginning about the social causes? So let's get your thoughts about that. So let's jump in. Always like us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, but let's get into these topics. Guys and Miss Raquel, Naomi Osaka, of course, she's a 3-time Grand Slam winner at the age of 22. Do you guys think she's the future of tennis? Is she going to take over Serena's throne? And what do you think about her social issues and the causes that she takes up and how she kind of backs up what she says? So, Lee, we're going to let you start off since you haven't been with us for a little bit. Start us off, man.
First, I want to say, Mark, we talked a little bit earlier, but I was going to tell Raquel I missed her until I saw that little coyish, cheapish smile that she put on her face. So, yeah, I'm not going to say it now. How about that? But yeah, I saw that when you were reading the topic. But anyway, we're going to get into that a little bit later. But, Naomi, I really, Mark, she, first of all, is a darling, right? And I love how she came out with the social justice, the 7 masks in 7 days and what she represented. At 22, I think she's taking the throne, man. I think her and then you throw Coco Gauff in there. Coco's struggled a little bit this year, but I think both of them, as women's tennis starts to their throne, they're starting to escalate. And Serena's coming down a little bit. I mean, Serena's 37, 38 years old, so it's natural that she starts to come down. But Naomi, great tennis player, but her social consciousness and her not worrying about what people think attitude, I love it. Right. When we interviewed her, she posed back the question, what did you get from it? Yeah, and I think that was powerful how she said that. And so I'm very impressed with her. Also, they want her to stay a little girl, and she has shown herself as a woman. And so I really, really like that about her. She's the darling, and hey, she's number 3 right now in the world rankings. She's been up to number 1, and I think it's her throne. I really do, and I'm very happy for it because hey, she's all together. She supports both of her Asian and her Haitian heritage, her Black heritage, and I think that's powerful. So I love what I'm seeing from her.
Yeah, and considering I think she's won the last 3 out of the 7 major tournaments that we've had here recently. I think she's definitely she's going to take the throne here pretty soon. And her game, if you watch it, and I'm a pretty avid tennis watcher. Her forehand is incredible. Her serve is out of this world, which gets her out of a lot of problems. But she's a thinker on the court. You can always see she's thinking 2 and 3 shots ahead. She gets herself out of a lot of problems that a lot of other players can't get themselves out of. And the one thing I like about it, she's not shying away from any of this.
Absolutely.
She is like, bring it on. And the thing that she said was, nobody really wants to hear from somebody who isn't winning, right? She wants to win. She wants to be the best. And she says winning will allow people to have a conversation about me. And in turn, it allows me to bring out the issues that I think people should be talking about. So winning brings all of that out, and she doesn't shy away from it. So I really do appreciate that about her, and I really do like watching her play.
I do too.
I haven't watched her as much as I should have, but I really started over the past few months. And when she even threatened to walk out of the tournament earlier this season, a lot of people don't talk about that. She threatened to walk out of a tune-up tournament earlier this year. So she definitely is somebody to keep an eye on, and I think she's going to be the face of women's tennis. Raquel?
I think you guys said it best. Serena, time is coming to an end. I think she may have another year or two, maybe. I'm not going to say that I want to see anyone beat her. I don't want to see anyone beat her. I want her to go out and break every record there is to be broken. We dominate this sport now, whether white America wants to agree with that or not. We dominate the sport, especially for females. Naomi, as an activist, as a community leader, those words need to be associated with her name more often. And I think she is creating that platform. She's correct. If she wasn't winning, she would be a no one and her voice wouldn't be heard. So in order for her platform to grow like a LeBron James, like a Serena Venus, she has to continue to win. I don't think at 22, where she is right now, she's going to have a really good career. It'll be interesting to see how good. I mean, I don't know if we really thought, I thought we overall thought Venus would go further, right? But her illness, her disease kind of caught her. But we thought I don't know if Serena would be Serena if Venus had not become ill, right? Because Venus was clearly the better tennis player, the thinker. Like you said, Mar, she would outthink Serena, which is why she beat her so often when she was healthy. But the strength of Serena is unmatched. I don't know if we will see in my lifetime another woman as physically as strong as Serena Williams. I think Naomi has a combination of both girls, in all honesty. I think she is a combination of both of them in many ways. So I'm super happy for her. Love the social part. I can't say that enough. She is definitely one of our silent heroes that's becoming very vocal. And I think as she continues to win, we'll hear more from her, and it'll be publicized more because I think she's been active all this time, but because tennis is now in the forefront, we get to hear her voice more often.
Let me ask you guys a question real quick before we move on. In terms of Serena, now we've watched Serena over the last few tournaments. She's struggled. She's been bounced pretty early. We're not used to seeing that from her. Do we think that if she continues kind of down this path, because clearly Serena doesn't really have anything more to prove in the game. I mean, she's chasing some records, and I know it's important to her, but she's a mother. She's got things that seem to be maybe a little bit more important to her than tennis at this moment. Do you think this will tarnish her legacy at all if we watch her struggle as she goes forward? Because we always find that people will find a way to kind of try to tarnish her legacy. Do we want to see her go out this way?
It didn't tarnish Michael Jordan. He went out this way, and it didn't tarnish Kobe Bryant. And Lord knows he was a loser by the time he left the NBA. No. No.
rough. That's the Raquel I remember right there. Hey, she rough on him, I tell you.
You rough, boy.
No.
Mark, what we don't want to see, and what we don't want to see though, because as long as she can play and get to the semifinals of tournaments, and be in the round of 16, then you're still one of the top dogs. But when
Greatness.
like Venus right now, Venus is losing in the first round.
She's losing in the first round.
It's probably time for Venus to possibly go up in the the booth and announce and all that stuff, or make the transition on the other side, because as you said, Raquel, her disease it's preventing her from, and plus Venus 38, 39 years old. So but Venus, Serena, I don't want to see her losing in the first and second round. I really don't. I don't think it'll tarnish what she's done, but I hope that she makes the decision at some point. As long as she's making semifinals and finals, hey, you still do what you do. I just don't want to see her losing in the first and second round, because it's just not a good look. The biggest thing, Marvin, this, go out. We can't tell a person when to go out.
Right.
We certainly want them to go out while our memory of them is still good.
Right. And I thought about that because I watched her the other day, and she just didn't look like Serena. It just made me think of, as I started seeing Mike as he got older, and some of these older athletes, where you just don't look the same. And she dominated tennis so effortlessly for such a long time. I don't want to see people start to just tarnish her legacy as she tries to hold on and maybe break some of these records. And you heard announcers kind of going that way too, like, Serena's losing to people who she shouldn't be losing to, but I don't know how is Serena. She's got to be upper 30s, right? 37,
37 years old. She's 37
years old.
And tennis careers. It's a lot of wear and tear in tennis.
20-something years playing tennis, Marv. Your knees, your all that, your joints, and so it's tough, for her to, But look, the other thing, she doesn't play a lot, Marv.
She doesn't.
You can't just have a tune-up and then go to a major, and she's still getting to the semifinals.
Well, this is the deal. To your point, Lee, she doesn't play. She doesn't practice really, and she gets that far. So if she, and she's probably not going to do this anymore because she's happy, she's married, she's in love with her kid. But if she can get that far without playing, I'm gonna tell you, it's all about a momentum shift, right? She could still win. How she's playing right now, all it requires is for another girl to be slightly off, and she'll beat them. They just got to be slightly off, and we know that happens all the time in sports. And we're talking about tarnishing her career. Do you feel that way about Michael Jordan? He certainly lost a lot at the end of his career when he went over to the Wizards.
Yeah, but sometimes it's a little bit different when you start talking about team sports, because we knew that Washington team couldn't win anyway. They were so, tennis is so individualized.
But his greatness, it was Michael Jordan and the Wizards. It was Michael Jordan and Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, I just thought of him differently when he got to Washington, because I didn't know why he did it.
And he was not as good. He wasn't the same guy. Kobe, Lord knows, and I am not a Kobe fan. I wasn't a Kobe fan. And I wanted him to just hang his shoes up because I was tired of he had like 4 losing seasons. His last 4 seasons in the NBA, I think, were losing seasons. And I don't think he made the playoffs the last 3. So for me, I was like, Kobe, man, stop playing. Like, I want to remember the killer.
Yeah.
But he wasn't so much a killer those last 4 seasons. He was hurt all the time. It didn't tarnish his career, because I vaguely remember some of those horrible games, and there were a lot in 4 seasons. I remember all the backbreakers.
Yeah.
You remember her, and as soon as the next tournament came up, Marv, she pulled out. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like she really only wants to play majors, right?
Yeah, she only wants to do majors.
Yeah, and so to do that, those other girls are playing all these tournaments, and their skills. It's not that she's slipping as much as she doesn't play enough. And,
she don't play.
And like you said, Raquel, it's not so much those other players being off, it's Serena being off, and those other players being good enough to beat her when she's off, because she doesn't play enough.
All right. Well. Let's move on. Let's talk about the NFL. We got the opening weekend of the NFL. I just want to get your thoughts on what you saw. Surprises, disappointments. Is there anything that we should be looking out for? We're gonna get into another topic in just a minute here about some teams in particular. But just your thoughts about the NFL. What do you guys think about the no fans? Let's get your thoughts. Raquel, what did you think about this Sunday if you got a chance to check out any game?
Yeah, I did. So, we Ravens did what we wanted them to do. We saw the game that we hoped to see if you're a Raven fan. So, we had to yell and scream and holler at the TV. New England, super happy for Cam, man. Oh my God, I wanted Cam to win. That was the one outside of the Ravens. That was the one game that I was most concerned about. I really wanted him to come out on top in his first win. I'm not surprised the Cowboys lost. I don't think the Cowboys are going to be that good this season, but it's only one game. I'll say that, but I'm not surprised the Cowboys lost. I mean, they lost, and I'm like, okay.
Do you guys, before we start kind of getting into his league, Cam Newton, let's take Cam because, it's a big story in the offseason. What we saw from Cam was great, but do you think what we saw from Cam is sustainable? I mean, he only threw the ball 19 times. He rushed it 15 times. Like, coming off all the injuries that he's had, like, do you think that formula for him throughout an NFL season is going to be sustainable, considering just the injuries and things that he's had over the last couple of years?
It's who he is. I mean, if you ask him to do something else, you're asking him to be another football player. And frankly, we want to see the Cam Newton we see right now in the field. I think if you ask him not to run, not to rush the ball, you ask him to be a quarterback that he just isn't. So I don't know if he can sustain it, but he's in pretty good shape. I wouldn't be surprised if he couldn't, but I am certainly pulling for him. I hope that he can because I enjoy watching him play. It's fun.
Yeah. He looked great. He did. He looked really good. He looked rejuvenated. He looked like he's having fun again.
Yep.
I'm just worried about the sustainability of that kind of game through an NFL season for him. And they just don't got no weapons, man. I'm looking on it. Go ahead, Lee.
They need a wide receiver, Marv. They need a deep threat, and they don't have it. And so they need to go out and sign somebody. I was talking to somebody yesterday. I said, wouldn't Antonio Brown look good in a Patriots uniform now?
Yes, sir.
To throw the ball because your question, Marv, he can sustain it because you hit it on the head, Raquel. That's who he is. I mean, that's Cam Newton in a nutshell. And I like how he protected his body yesterday, Marv. He was getting down. He wasn't taking a lot of hits. Yeah. And with it being the first game, what New England did yesterday was they showed the rest of the league what they're going to be about. So now they have to prepare for all of this running. And then as the season goes on, you're going to see Cam throw the ball more. Yesterday was about getting the victory and showing people this is the new England Patriots, the new New England Patriots, not the Tom Brady. And he can sustain it because that's what he is. That's what he's always been. And he didn't take shots. The one thing, Marv, that's impressive, he is a big dude.
Yeah, he's a big
Yes, sir. He's a big man.
Being off for like 2 years, Marv, you know how it is. His body's probably rejuvenated. He's only 31 years old, man. So he's a big dude. And so a lot of people don't want to take on that body when they're hitting him. So I like what Cam did yesterday. I think New England's going to be fine. And it's interesting that debate with Brady and Belichick, I always knew Belichick is probably the greatest coach because he knows how to play and win. And they played hellified good defense yesterday, and he game plans from week to week to win that game. It's unlike a lot of other coaches who try to game plan for the entire season. Belichick is game to game, so I like that about it.
And it's going to be interesting to see in Tampa Bay. You got Bruce Arians already throwing Tom Brady under the bus. I mean, talking about the passes, and he shouldn't throw this, and he shouldn't have thrown that. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I know there's a little lack of chemistry, but we'll see how that plays out. Seattle. Is Seattle the class of the NFC at this point?
Seattle look good.
One game, Marv, but
well, that's all we got right now. We going up. We going back.
Is a beast though. He's always been a beast.
Playing on another level.
And for an individual who has never, he always starts out in the MVP season. Talk. He should be even more in the MVP P talk. Russell Wilson's a bad guy, man. That dude be balling out, and he does it all the time.
Jamal Adams looked real good on that back end with him. So
He's another happy one. He keep making babies. I think he'll keep playing good football.
He's making a lot of them, man. Boy, him and Pierre got it going on, ain't you, boy?
I mean, I guess I understand.
Look, Russell signed for $160 million, and Raquel, he's only 30 years old, so he got another $150 million contract coming. Sierra ain't going nowhere. She's like, nowhere. Yeah, 5 or 6 babies.
She said she want 5, bro. She said she want 5, and now
5 is security. I'm just joking.
Is Aaron Rodgers back? We saw the old Aaron Rodgers yesterday against Minnesota, or is it just that Minnesota's defense so gutted? I mean, they got rid of everybody. They did. So where do we think we are with Aaron Rodgers? Because we saw the bad boy yesterday.
It looked good to me, but it's the first game. I mean, for everybody other than the Ravens, I mean, I expect the Ravens to look like this all season. It's the first game. I mean, I think by the time we get into the 4th game of the season, we'll have real opinions that matter.
I think the 49ers are, they had a lot of guys hurt yesterday. I think they're in for a Super Bowl letdown this year. I do not think they're the class of the NFC. There's a lot of teams. Washington football team surprised a lot of people with that Alabama defense they got in the NFL right now, because they got about 7 or 8 Alabama boys on that D. They'll go now. That defense going to keep them in games. Can Haskins play winning football will be the question.
Yeah,
but after one game, and look, he played well. He played well yesterday.
Haskins played okay. I like Haskins. I like how he slimmed down. He looks much better physically, and he has skill set. He got to get a little bit more accurate throwing the ball down the field. Mark, the broadcast. You talked about the broadcast.
Yeah.
It was some good football play, son. I watched 6 or 7 games. For it to be no preseason, and they didn't even do joint scrimmages and stuff. The football yesterday, the pro football was very, very good. I don't care about the fans. I look at the games, but it's awkward not seeing anybody in the stand.
And the energy is just different when you don't have the extra, trying to pump the noise in. It's just a little different in a football because the stadiums are so big. It just
so big.
So, and I got to bring up another one, though, because I know you never was sold on this guy, Lee, but Josh Allen in Buffalo. Buffalo looked good.
Well, he looked good, but that's going to fizzle out. That's going to I put him in there with Baker Mayfield and them. You see Baker Mayfield.
It's going to fizzle out. It's going to fizzle out.
Commercials, though. His commercials are good.
His commercials are good, but his game don't match.
His game is terrible. And they promote certain people, and he got it too early. Baker Mayfield is terrible. He's trash.
Do you think?
By the way, Marv, the protests that Seattle and Atlanta did was the best I've seen.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. They let them kick the ball, and they all took a knee. That was tremendous. I compliment them on that as well.
It was. How long, before we move on to our next topic, how long do you think it'll be before Tua starts to play in Miami?
Look. By week 5, Tua will be in the game.
He'll be starting.
You think week 5?
Yeah, well, he's going to because Fitzpatrick is the type of guy, he'll throw 3 interceptions. The next game, he'll throw for 350 yards. Then he'll throw 2, and then he'll throw 3. So he's going to have a good game, couple good games, but Tua will be in there by week 5. And he needs to be in there.
He needs to be. And just one more, Indy, because I know your boy came on talk about Indy, so I had to bring it up. If you're out there listening, Indy, are they overrated? Was it an anomaly with Jacksonville? What you think, man?
No, they look good. It's the first game, and I think we take it with a grain of salt, but they did look good. I do think we saw a lot of good football yesterday, and it's probably. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a true representation of what we're going to see the entire season in the NFL. And Lee, if that's the case, you're in trouble. But
we'll get to that in a minute because
I do think it's a good. It's off to a good start. So I don't know.
Mark, any team that depends on Phillip Rivers, if you think you're going to win something, you're not. It's not going to happen. He'll throw the ball, he'll get 300, but he's going to throw 2 or 3 interceptions. He makes bad decisions, and I told you, Indy's not going to do anything. I mean,
this may be his year, Lee. This may be his year.
And to lose to that,
looking for a quarterback next year, trust me.
And to lose to that dumpster fire in Jacksonville, that's just a bad look.
That was a bad loss right there, man.
Yeah, that's a bad loss.
That was a bad loss.
So let's get into it then. Let's go on and move on. Let's talk about Tampa Bay and what we saw and what everybody talked about with Tampa Bay and all the expectation. And we got to talk about them Cowboys. We got to talk about what we saw from Dallas.
But have the same, hey, all I say is what you just said, have that same forethought about first game and then when you go to this topic. But go ahead.
Hey, look, you know, the first game sets the tone for the season. That's how I always thought. Yeah, that's my thinking. But I'm gonna let Raquel go. What's she thinking first about Tampa Bay? Get in on Dallas. What you think about what you saw?
I'm gonna go with Cowboys. I'm not gonna say much about Tampa Bay. Doesn't matter to me one way or another. And because Lee is such a Cowboys fan, I will follow them closely all season. It's just one game. I wouldn't be surprised if this is how the season goes for them. But I'll say this: I feel like they need a receiver.
No, we loaded at receiver. Go ahead.
I feel like the receivers. There was no one that stood out to me. They didn't have a superstar to me. There was not a superstar receiver to me. The ball was thrown. I think 4 or 5 guys had 8 passes or more. I did think was a standout receiver. Elliott,
At 96 yards rushing. Zeke was on point.
He had 96 yards.
I expect more from him, I guess, because there's so much talk. It's so much hoopla. It's just so much noise around him. I always expect more. Prescott didn't look bad. I mean, he was all right. But I feel like when I look at the game, I felt like there was just no superstar receiver. That was the biggest thing.
I'm gonna point out a few things here about this Dallas game that I saw before I get in. Now,
kind of soft too.
Now, the first thing everybody want to point out is about that pass interference. Everybody want to talk, which he extended the arm.
Oh God!
And then the veteran that Ramsey is, he played it.
Yeah.
So he was open enough that he didn't even need to get separation. But you got to call it. He's an all pro corner. It made it look like he missed his stride. You got to make the call. So, but Lee, forget that.
Okay.
To be quite honest with you, if the Rams were better in the red zone last night, that game wouldn't have been as close as it was. They was in the red zone 3 times, kicked 2 field goals, and I think one time
blew it
and came out empty. So the game really wasn't as close as people thought it was. Let me give you another point real quick before you go. Now, there's a problem that Dallas has. Number one, your offensive coordinator, all them weapons you got, and you came out real vanilla.
I agree with you.
The game plan with Dallas was real vanilla. But all that versatility and all the skill that you got, that's what you came out with in game 1?
Yeah.
Now, I can understand if you're trying to set up for next week, but you got to come out with it all going. But here's the area of concern I got with Dallas. They was getting mauled in the trenches. Now, I know Aaron Donald is a different beast, but offensively and defensively, if you watch the trenches, the Rams ran the ball with – who's the running back for the Rams? Does anybody know? No.
Let me look it up.
That's the point. Nobody knows who he was, but they absolutely controlled the line of scrimmage against Dallas yesterday. They ran the ball down Dallas' throat and they controlled the clock, which was really surprising to me. And even up front on Dallas with the offensive line, I know Aaron Donald's a different beast, but they seem to have the continuity on the offensive line look real off. It didn't look like the Dallas line. And let's be honest now, Dak missed a lot of throws. He missed a lot. And how you in the game, how you leave a timeout on the board if you Dallas?
Go ahead, Lee. There were a lot of tactical. And Mark, you made some good points. Look. First off, see, you sat up here and said this stuff about the pass. That was not pass interference. There's nobody in the country that believes that was pass interference, Mark.
The refs did.
Okay. And so So if the play was called right, we'd have been on the 15-yard line going in to win the game, first of all, or at the very least tie the game and go to overtime.
Like the old country saying go. If was a fifth, we'd all be drunk. So don't worry about that. We keep it going.
And so that's why I'm a realist, Marv. We lost the game. If the calls happened, hey, that was not pass interference. But let's go back to what you said, okay? One, Mike McCarthy wasn't impressed with his first game as a Cowboys coach.
No, you couldn't be.
One thing you don't do is the call to go for it on fourth down was terrible. Yeah, you should have kicked the field goal, tied the game up. Yep. It was almost 8 minutes left. You can win later. That was terrible, right? Agreed. That was terrible. The other thing that you said, Marv, you're spot on. The offense is way too vanilla. Let me give you an example. You see all the motion that the Rams do. They send people around. They put people in motion. It's Dallas's offense is so vanilla. They line up in the same spot every play damn near, and it makes it easy for defenses to scheme against you. Dallas's philosophy under Kellen Moore is we're better than you are. We're just going to line up and beat you.
Going to line up and beat you.
You can't do that when you have an Aaron Donald who, Marv, you know as well as I do, they had an undrafted tackle.
It was bad. It looked bad, man. I felt sorry for that boy.
He was beating him like a drum, and so
I felt sorry for that boy.
You felt sorry for him.
I did.
You can't do that. So I
don't ever
offensively, they got to do better. But Marv, trust me on this. Trust me.
Oh, here he go with the trust him and his predictions.
Well,
no, I mean, let me say this.
The last time you told me to trust you, Dak was going to be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL.
Yes, so we can't really trust you.
I don't know. Your cachet, you ain't built your cachet up yet.
He's still going to get paid, and Dallas will be in the playoffs. I'm not worried at all. I'm really not worried.
You're saying they're going to make the playoffs and not winning the Super Bowl. That's better than what you were saying.
I'm not worried at all. We started an undrafted tackle, right? We got a bogus call at the end. And so I'm not worried at all. And all of you Cowboy haters out there, let me say something to you. Holler at your boy 5 or 6 weeks into the season when we rolling. And every week, Bob, we're going to be here in Raquel because, you try to do it on the down low and talk about it. I miss you a little bit, but no, I don't miss you at all now. You're talking about my Cowboys now. But that's okay. You got one on me, Marv. It's coming. We'll see how it plays out. Well, but you made some good points about the offense, though. The offense is way too vanilla, and they need more motion and more movement because they have all the skilled players in the world.
Oh, man. I just thought that they would try to get more motion and create some different, some mismatches and some opportunities on the edges. They was just real stale.
Yeah, it was poor. It was a poor game plan, Mark. It was a poor game plan. And but I'm the only thing that I was disappointed in Dallas was if you saw towards the second half, Mark, when they started blitzing Goff, he couldn't do anything. The defensive coordinator waited too long to blitz. It was a terrible coach game offensively and defensively for Dallas. And I hope that they get better. Let's go to Tampa Bay because y'all tripping on this. But I told y'all that Brady was not going to make the deal with Tampa Bay. Look, let me say something about Tampa real quick, Marvin. Now I'll turn it over to you, Raquel. Bruce Arians likes to throw the ball down the field.
He does. Right?
And to throw the ball down the field. See, people talked about Jameis Winston last year. I know Jameis threw a lot of interceptions, but Jameis would stay in there, Marv, take a beating. He was mobile. He can move, and he was a quarterback for it to get the ball down the field. That's not Tom Brady. Yeah. That's not Tom Brady. And as you saw, Mike Evans had 1 catch yesterday. Gronk had 2. They're not going to be. You're thinking Tom Brady with Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels. With Bruce Arians, it's a different type of quarterback. Yeah. And I'm not saying that they're not going to win 8 or 9 games. But they're not going to be the juggernaut people think that they are. And you're seeing the end of Tom Brady.
Yeah, you are. And I watched the game yesterday, and I saw just schematically throws that I've never seen Tom Brady try to make. When he tried to throw outside of the numbers with the pick 6 that he threw, you never saw those throws really in New England. He was a dink. He was a dunk. He would get the ball out. And now you've got a scheme where they want to push the ball downfield, and that's not Brady's game. He was 2 of 6 on throws that went over 20 yards yesterday, and that's not a good sign. That is not a good sign. And even more so, their offensive line is terrible. Okay.
It's the same offensive line that Jameis had, Marv. And so people would kill Jameis because Jameis would take chances, right? Mm-hmm. And that's why Jameis is a hell of a quarterback to me. That's why his interceptions came. But you see that same beating Tom Brady's going to get, and then you're going to see if he's the GOAT in Tampa. Why Cam's going to be balling out in New England. And you'll see that Belichick knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
But don't forget this, too. Drew Brees ain't the same either.
He's not the same. He's not the same. He's not the same.
It's time for them guys to get out of there, man.
Yeah, he's not the same.
He's a quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, not the same.
Quarterbacks are going to be more like Lamar and Deshaun Watson and Russell Wilson. And that's the new breed. Kyler Murray, Jimmy Garoppolo, even though he ain't really that good.
And we had 10 black quarterbacks start on Sunday in the NFL, which is
that's the trend, Mark. That's who you want to play quarterback. Burrow's going to be good though.
I forgot to mention that.
So Burrow's going to be good. Burrow's going to be good. He has it. He's confident. He's mobile. He's good. But that's the type of Tua's going to be good. Those are the type of guys.
You know who also played very well was Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater played very well for Carolina, even though they lost to the Raiders. I like that Raiders team. I think they're gonna surprise some people.
I like the Raiders too. I like the Raiders too.
But Teddy Bridgewater played really well. Raquel, you want to add anything?
I don't know. I mean, I think you guys said it. I think Tom Brady. I think we're gonna see, if it was Bill or Tom. Clearly, if you look at this game, it's Bill. Brady's not accustomed to being hit a lot. I think that's going to be tough for him this season to be touched as much. He didn't get hit in New England. I mean, his uniform was clean 99.9% of the time. And if he did get hit, he wanted to grab helmets and holler at his, line.
So I think that was his thing. He'll throw it in the dirt before he get hit.
So it's going to be I think a tough season for Brady overall. It's a different type of football, and coaches matter. And I think he's about to find out just how much Bill mattered in how their careers are really married, whether they like it or not. Their careers are married, and they had a great marriage while it lasts. And I think you'll see Coach go on and continue to win because he's not getting beat up. He's using his brain. Right. And this will always outlast the body. Always.
Bill Belichick was that safety blanket for Tom Brady, and he covered a lot of flaws. Because Tom Brady never had the strongest arm. Everybody always knew that. Athletically, he wasn't the best. And Bill Belichick covered a lot of flaws. And Brady had that blanket of he's always been in New England where there was a defense that always kept you in a game, always kept you within arm's reach. Never very often did you see it just get so out of reach. He's not going to have that in Tampa Bay. Now, the Tampa Bay defense looked okay.
Yeah, they look good. You said it early, and we have to stress this point, what you said. Bruce Arians will criticize you in the media, on TV, and to everybody. Belichick wouldn't. And so it's an entirely different culture at Tampa as opposed to New England. And you're going to see. Look, he has the most talent, Marv, offensive talent that he's had probably ever with Tampa Bay. With Leonard Fournette back there, Ronald Jones, and all those receivers, O.J. Howard, and all those guys. Yeah. But if you don't get it done in Arians' offense, he's going to do exactly what you said, Marv. He's going to criticize. He's going to talk about you, and he's going to call you out. That's different for Tom Brady.
Well, the beauty of it is we're going to get to watch all this stuff play out. I think it's going to be a pretty exciting season. I can't wait to talk about them Cowboys.
Man, Dak was throwing darts. Y'all get off of Dak. Mark, he couldn't have handed the ball better to Galloway. He couldn't have handed it to him better.
He couldn't have, but he still got another loss.
Well, yeah.
Lamondre?
Yeah, we've got a lot of agreement going on online with what you guys are saying, but Deborah Garland also says Brady has to stay in the pocket, a narrow view.
Yeah. I mean, we're gonna see how it plays out.
That's what he accustomed to.
I think one game says a lot. But we'll see. We'll see how the season plays out. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that happens. So let's preview Game 7. Let's get to the Clips and Nuggets. Let's preview Game 7 and see what you guys also think about the Heat and Celtics series as it kicks off tomorrow night. But let's get to the Clips and Nuggets. We never thought that the Clips would be here. They had taken control of that series, and now they in a Game 7. So where y'all think this plays? Where you think this comes out?
Them your boys, Marv. You kick us off. You
said that the Clippers was gonna win the championship and blah 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 blah. You right. You kick it off.
Well, look. I mean, let's just be honest. The chemistry is terrible, and if the Clippers are going to continue to wait for PG-13 to show up, you're going to be at home. The Game 7 needs to run through Kawhi. Kawhi need to put up 35 shots. And it's just that simple. I mean, but there's something more alarming to me with the Clippers than even the offensive end. You're supposed to have 3 or 4 of the best defensive players in the NBA. With Kawhi, with PG-13, with Pat Bev, and you got a former all-defensive guy on the bench. And Noah, he won Defensive Player of the Year 1 year in the league. It's alarming the runs that Denver has been able to go on to close the gap, especially in the fourth quarter. It just goes to show me that they've been looking ahead to the Lakers this whole time, and now they're putting themselves in a position to where they got a one-game elimination. And I'm a little worried because Kawhi has shot only over 50% in 2 games in this series. He hasn't been efficient. He scored, but he hasn't been efficient, and that's typically Kawhi's game.
What did I tell you about him when we started this bubble? What did I tell you about Kawhi?
What did you tell me?
You don't remember?
Mm-mm.
I told you he wouldn't be. I don't think he's healthy.
He may not be healthy, but history tells us that
in all honesty.
Yeah, history tells me Kawhi is always come up in big games.
Well, that's history might fail you. And it's looking like it's going to fail you. And Marv, I love you, but momentum has definitely shifted Denver. I think the Clippers are supposed to win, right? The Clippers are supposed to win this basketball game, but I don't know if they'll be able to pull it off. I think what Denver is spreading the floor so well. They're giving them that work in every position. Even Kawhi, you look at him on defense. At the end of the game, he just doesn't look good to me. At the end of the game, he just does not look good.
Let's just be honest. There's one issue on the floor. It's the Joker. It's Jokic. They can't do nothing with him. He is facilitating everything that Denver does. He's a mismatch nightmare. Mm-hmm. He's a great passer. They put Paul George on him. He posts him. They put Kawhi on him. He posts him. You put Harrell on him. He got him out of the three-point line playing games with him. He's facilitating everything about it. And the thing about it, which is Clippers got all the pressure. Denver going into Game 7 with number house money because they're not supposed to be here. They're going to come in loose and free. And
I don't know if they can pull it off, but they're supposed to win.
You know what? I think Denver's going to win the game.
You do, Marv?
I do. Because listen, here's the thing that scares me about the Clippers. If Lou Williams isn't scoring, he's not really.
But that's it, Marv.
Right. He's not scoring.
What is he? What? I mean, did he go get some more wings or something?
They call him Lemon Pepper Lou now. He Lemon Pepper Lou. That's what he's being called.
He's not Marv. This is what I can't understand. And I blame Doc a little bit too. I mean, if you're up by 19, right? 20, how are you letting these people make 17-2 runs on you? I mean, it's like, give the ball. Look, if they cut my lead to 14, I'm giving it to Kawhi every time.
Every time.
Every time down.
It's a no-brainer.
Get everything back in order, Kawhi. Now, I'll say this about Kawhi, Marv. And Raquel, you touched on it a little bit too. I don't know if he's injured, but Kawhi sometimes, Marv, it's like his stamina is bad. I don't know what it is, but he's so efficient. And as you know, Marv, he don't take a lot of shots.
He don't take a lot of shots.
He don't put up 25, 30 shots. That's not who he is. In this game, that's who he needs to be.
That's who he needs to be.
He certainly needs to do that. And I think the Clippers are going to win. I think you're right, Marv. The Clippers relax a little bit too much. And it goes to leadership on the court, right? Kawhi is not a vocal leader, right, that will jump in people's butt. When you see LeBron out there, LeBron be talking a lot of smack out there to his players, to other players. Kawhi is not that. And who is the leader, Marv? Patrick Beverly? But Patrick Beverly is a limited player.
He's
right?
a limited player.
And so that's the difference. It always has been the difference to me with the Lakers and the Clippers. You got LeBron, the ultimate leader, and then you got Paul George and Kawhi, who are the same player mentality-wise. You know what I mean? And then you got the X factor in Anthony Davis with the Lakers. So I think the Clippers are going to win. I don't think Denver's going to do anything because Jamal Murray. For them to win, Murray's going to have to go off. And he really hadn't went off the whole series.
He hasn't gone off the whole series.
The Joker's going to give you what he gives you. The Joker plays a ball.
But if they come out and they hit some threes early on, which they can get hot. They can get as hot as anybody in the league. And the thing about the Clippers is the one thing that worries me, outside of Kawhi, you don't really have a lot of championship Game 7 experience on that team. You got a lot of – Paul George ain't won a playoff series since 2014. He hasn't been involved in anything since 2014. None of them have really been involved in this. So it comes down to Denver. I don't care. We ain't supposed to be here. So we coming out here like we just playing. Right. LA Clippers supposed to win, supposed to be the biggest threat to the Lakers. You know, never been to this place as a Clippers organization.
You said they were going to beat the Lakers.
Now the Clippers are made to beat LA, but they got to get past Denver.
It's going to be a hell of a series. That's going to be a hell of a series.
Their squad is built to beat Los Angeles because they have a lot of interchangeable pieces for AD. But if they don't get there, it ain't going to matter. But Harrell and Lou Williams, they not the same. They haven't been the same since they come into the bubble, and that's the biggest problem for them because they come in and they outscore everybody's bench, and they're not getting that from them. But there is no excuse for letting teams back into the game in the fourth quarter. I don't know how they're going to fix that.
And Marv, you're right. Now, I don't know if Joakim Noah is hurt, but he's a nuisance. Marv, remember in the trade day, he would – and see, I would like to see him out there. Well, I don't care about the Clippers, but let me say, I think they should play him, Marv, because –
Me too.
You know European players, Marv, when you up in them and you're bumping them and you're physical with them. See, Zubac, he ain't nothing.
He's not. No.
Joker can kill him anytime. Put Noah out there, let him be a pest towards him, and I think that'll rattle him a little bit. But no, I think they're going to win. But if the Lakers shoot the three like they shoot, hell, you forget about it. I mean, shit, you damn forget about that. I mean, I ain't talking about 50%. If the Lakers shoot 45, 43, 45%, the Clippers ain't got a chance. I mean, it's over.
If the Lakers shoot it like that, don't nobody got a chance. So it ain't gonna really matter. Real quick about the Heat Celtics series. What you guys think about the Heat Celtics series getting ready to jump off?
I like the Heat, Mark.
I want the Heat to win. I think Jimmy Butler the best player in the East right now. He looks really good. He's assertive. He's confident. He's sharing the ball well. He's doing everything you do to win a championship. I like Miami coming out of the East. I like Miami. I'm going Miami.
Miami has depth. The Boston does not have a bench anymore. They go about 7 deep. And Miami go about 10 deep.
Miami has size too, Mark.
Their size.
Yeah.
And you got 6 or 7 guys that can score 15 to 20 points a night. And that is hard to defend. And I just think Boston's lack of depth, who's the point guard? He's losing my mind right now.
For Boston?
Yeah.
Smart?
No, not Smart. The guy they brought from Sharp.
Walker.
Kemba Walker. Kemba's been so up and down. You don't know what Kemba you're going to get. If we had the Kemba of a couple of years ago where I know he's giving you 25 and 10 a night, I might have it. But Kemba been so up and down. Thankfully, Marcus Smart has push up the slack. But he's balling right now. I'm really looking forward to seeing him and Jimmy Butler go at each other. That's going to be something I want to see. because they both dogs and they're going to get up in each other. But I like Miami too. I think they're going to win the series.
The thing Miami brings, Marv, that Toronto couldn't, was they got a guy they can throw the ball to and say, get me a bucket. We need a bucket right now. Get me a bucket. Jimmy Butler can do it. And then you got all the other guys like Tyler Hero. Hero is an assassin. Dragic, he's an assassin. So that's going to be a good series. I like Miami too. I tell you who's a bad boy though, and we didn't give him enough credit when we was talking about the young players. But Jason Tatum a bad boy.
Jason Tatum a bad, but I still think
Jalen. You're right about Jalen though, Marv.
But think he's more consistent.
Jalen got a little more game than Jalen, but Jalen got a little more dog in him, tougher and stuff. But Tatum got a well-rounded game, man.
He does. All right. Well, looking forward to it. Tomorrow night it goes down. We'll see how it comes out. Houston Rockets, they've let go or they've mutually parted D'Antoni and Houston. Where do you guys think that Houston should go for a head coach? Who should they be looking for? And do you think it's time to blow up the small ball? Raquel?
I don't care what Houston does in all honesty, but I think they kind of need to start over. I'm tired of seeing them lose. I am so tired of hearing all the hype all season, all the scoring from Harden, he's so great, best scorer out. I am so tired of hearing that. They need to blow up the team to give this man a chance to win because clearly they haven't had the pieces in the last 5 seasons. As far as coaches, I don't know. I mean, we talk about coaches all the time, especially when it's time when somebody gets fired or we want someone to get fired. I don't know. I am not a James Harden fan. I don't necessarily like his game, and I'm probably one of the few people that say that I don't enjoy watching James Harden play, and I never have, even when he was in OKC. I don't know who would be a great fit for him because you really got to build your team around him. I think they've gotten the short end of the stick with Westbrook. He might be done. They have so much money invested in Westbrook. I think he's going to be there. I wouldn't take Westbrook. I don't care what. I wouldn't take him nowhere for that kind of money.
Yeah. It's time to blow it up. In terms of coaches, I think there's really only one obvious choice to me. You bring Sam Cassell in. I think that's the obvious choice in Houston.
He's paid his dues, Marv. He's paid his dues.
He's paid his dues. Of course, he won 2 championships with Houston. He was a clutch player for them back in the 90s. I think that's a no-brainer to me. But you've hitched your wagon to James Harden and his style of play. And how do you translate that into win? It's an ISO heavy offense that doesn't translate well in the playoff. I think the Lakers scored 76% of their points in the restricted area in the paint against them. They rebounded at like a 43% clip. Houston did. So they can't rebound. They can't defend. They're constantly mismatched on the switches when they play people. It just doesn't. You can't outshoot everybody. It's a recipe for disaster. And James Harden has the ball 90% of the time, and they ask him to do so much to facilitate offense. By the time he got to the playoffs, James Harden was worn down. He was done. Even with the break, he looked like a shell of himself, just in some of the things that he could create. So it's time to blow it up. But I think Sam Cassell is a good choice for them to go.
He shoot the ball flat too. In this last game, he shot the ball flat all night. Like his legs are gone early. I don't know. I don't think he has enough.
Let me add one more thing, Lee, before you go, Lee. One more thing. The only way you can do small ball is if you have a player like Anthony Davis.
You got to have a big man.
You got to have someone like Anthony Davis that's versatile, that can guard multiple positions and can be a mismatch on the other end, and you can put a bunch of 6'7" guys around him. That's the only way you can make small ball work to me in this day and era. If you don't have that, but that's the skeleton key. Nobody got Anthony Davis. It's not too many of them running around here. So that's why small ball to me just doesn't translate to winning basketball in the NBA.
Yeah, you're right. They need to blow it. But Mark, I would sit Harden down because you're right about it. You can't win that way. It's never been done before. It's never going to be done that way because you have to look how they kill them on the boards.
Yeah, they
second chance baskets and I love Anthony Davis. But it's like taking candy from a baby, how he dominates them guys when he want to play. And so I would sit down with Harden and say, look, man, we're not going to do this you out there patting the ball, dribbling through your legs 50 million times and shoot. No, we got to play real basketball now.
Yeah.
We got to play real basketball. We're going to get a center. We're going to get us some power forward. We're going to get some size. And we're going to get a real point guard. Marvin, I would even move Harden to the 3, move Westbrook to the 2, and bring in a point guard to facilitate the offense.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea. That would work actually for them, especially if they pass the ball.
I don't think Westbrook is shot. I just think that he's always played out of position to me.
He's never been a point. He's never been a point guard.
Point guard. So they've always put the ball in his hand like he's a point guard, but he's not. Yeah. So they need to bring in a serviceable point guard, get some bigs, and you're right, blow it up and play real basketball, and then give that a chance to work with the players, because you're not going to get rid of Harden or Westbrook at this point, because they got their money. So
yeah, they got their money.
What you got, but you need to start signing some bigs and get, because look at it, they do have some decent role players. You know what I'm saying?
They do.
But did y'all talk about your boy old Daniel House?
We didn't talk about him because it was still kind of, coming out, but he done messed all his stuff up.
Oh yeah, man. House is an idiot, man. He's an idiot.
He didn't mess
I
up.
wanted to ask you, because I wasn't on for 2 weeks, and I don't know if y'all covered this, but I'd like to ask this for you and Raquel, because I was talking to a friend of mine out in Seattle, and he pissed me off because, okay, Steve Nash got the job, and we know that was white privilege, right? We know that. We know that, right? But why are people so upset with KD? Look, Nash has trained him for 5 years, and KD saying that I like Nash as a coach and I want to play for him. There's nothing wrong with you wanting to play for who you want to play with. Now, the white privilege thing, I get it. Nash should have got that job. But my boy was talking, no, he ain't nothing, and he should have advocated for a black coach. And I'm like, wait a minute. KD trying to win championships to validate his own career. So I'm just curious. I know we got another topic, but I'm curious about that and what you guys think about that.
I just think KD wanted somebody that emulated Steve Kerr and his laid-back attitude and allowed him to be who he wants to be, the man. I think that's what he wanted. And that's what he's going to get in Steve Nash. He's not coming to ruffle no feathers. And you got Kyrie. They pretty much the same. I mean, so any other kind of coach wouldn't work anyway, because I don't think either one of those will respond to any coach other than a Steve Kerr type of coach. And that's exactly who Steve Nash is going to be. So, I'm not mad at him.
Should he take some backlash, man? I mean, is it because he didn't advocate for a black coach or the black coach to even be interviewed? Do you think that's bad on his part?
No. I don't think so.
This is about winning for them. It's not a black-white thing.
That's what I said.
It's about winning. It's not a white-black thing. And I think KD just wants he does not want to be really told what to do. He doesn't want to be controlled. He wants to control. So I think he has to play for a guy like Nash, Kerr, to really have the type of team he thinks he wants. Now, I don't think it's going to work as well as he thinks it is in his favor, in all honesty.
They're going to be good.
Yeah, they are, but Raquel, to your point, I think you're right. The one thing that I'm concerned about is Kyrie is not Stephen Curry. He's not Klay Thompson, where he can play and be effective in a game without the ball. He has to have the ball to affect the basketball game. Stephen Curry, Klay, they don't. He's a ball-dominant guard. And what happened when KD played with a ball-dominant guard? Remember, he left Oklahoma City because
he couldn't win.
And he couldn't win with it. Couldn't close.
That's my biggest thing with them. I don't think they're not gonna be as good as people think they are. They have two great players, but I also don't feel like, when I look at Kyrie, he's so injury prone. I don't think he'll be healthy for the rest of his career.
Now, that's a valid point. That's a valid point.
He's not going to be healthy for the rest of his career. So you're talking about having Kyrie for 20 games, then he's out for 7, then you get him back for 4. Kyrie's not going to be as effective as people think.
Mar, they got everything though, Mar. They got DeAndre, the big guy, DeAndre Jordan. They got LeVert. They loaded, man. I mean, if you look at their bench, they're loaded, Mar. They're gonna
But that's the point that a lot of people have a problem with. Even some of my friends that I talk to. The point is, because I know we're coming up on time though. The point is that we haven't seen a lot of black coaches walk into a situation where it's been ready-made. They always come into a lot of trash. And then they get that trash together and they shift out. Then you bring the other guy in who's supposed to be the cool dude that can bring it all together and bring it home. That's the point that a lot of people was trying to make, and which I agree with.
That's what my boy. That's what my boy was saying, and I agreed with him because I wasn't talking about. We know that was wrong. There's never been a black coach inherit a ready-made championship team. So Steve Nash is going to look like this great coach because he inherited KD and Kyrie. They're going to win a lot of games. They're going to go deep into the playoffs because you were given this beautiful opportunity.
Exactly.
And Ray, that's my buddy Ray. You're right, but don't be mad at KD because KD do a lot of work in the community for Black Lives Matter, for Black youth, and so don't be mad at him because he wanted a white coach that he's comfortable with. That's all I was saying. So
well, we up on time. We're gonna save the Dabo conversation for next week because I do want to get into it, see what you guys think about that. But we up on the time because we had such a good conversation. It's good to see our man Lee Jones back as always. Yeah. You know, even though he wrong about them Cowboys, we bringing that negative Cowboy energy.
Every week I'm coming every week.
It's good to have him back nonetheless. Always, Raquel, good to see you. LP in the background, always bringing it in. We are After the Buzzer Sports Podcast. We appreciate your time tonight. We'll see you Wednesday, 8 o'clock.